Welcome back, data leaders and Python learners, to Insight Builder channel. Building big data applications with PySpark. From data to insight using PySpark. What is the problem we are facing? It's very simple. Making Python code to talk with Hadoop. Hadoop is a distributed file system that spreads the file across many nodes. On the contrary, Python can work only on a single node. A node here is a computer or a server. A node will contain a random access memory and a hard disk and a processor. In case of Hadoop, what will happen is the files are distributed across multiple such nodes. Hadoop works very well with Spark, Scala, and all the other big data ecosystem, but Python does not. So let me tell the series of problems that comes into picture. When the file size that you are going to process increases above the RAM size, the random access size, random memory size of your server, then you will need distributed services like Hadoop or file system like Hadoop. Python, as I explained, is not ideal for distributed work. Why? It takes a lot more memory, and making it to work with files located at different nodes can become very cumbersome. And it also does not have a very efficient compression algorithm to work with these kinds of files. You might still be thinking, okay, is there a way? That is where Python ecosystem came up with a library called as PySpark. What happens is, PySpark, you can just use a pip install PySpark and this will install a very huge library. Okay, ensure that you have a good internet stability so that you can completely install this library. And if you want to get more information, you can go to this particular link. You can get more information. This is a pretty advanced library. Okay, and big data itself is a pretty advanced topic, and it requires your knowledge on SQL commands and SQL queries, because PySpark will use a lot of SQL queries to work with the data that it reads. Okay, now coming to the guest starter. The guest starter here is AWS Wrangler. I have a separate set of playlists on AWS Wrangler because this library actually works with AWS services, that is Amazon Web Service applications, and it can help you to create a kind of a big data interface between AWS S3 bucket and your local Jupyter notebooks. This is just an introduction. If you are not aware of big data, or if you are not interested in those things, you might actually forget it. But if you are thinking even remotely, considering that you might enter into big data realm, then do look at AWS Wrangler. I have a separate series on that. Continuing further. In PySpark, the first and foremost step is to create a Spark session. So there is a separate command that creates a session which internally inside the your operating system or your execution environment, it creates a Java virtual machine. So this is a kind of another execution environment. Like Python's execution environment is separate and Java execution environment is separate. So the PySpark will create a Java virtual machine environment and it will allow our Python code to work with JVM. So that is the purpose of PySpark. Okay, this is in a layman terms I've explained to you. And once you do this, Python and Hadoop can talk. There is no issue after that, because Python has entered into the realm of big data using PySpark. Before that, it cannot do. Okay. Now you can use the Python interface, Jupyter notebook, etc. to read the data that is actually in the Hadoop clusters or Hadoop-like clusters. And then you can use Spark SQL to work with the data that you have read. And all these concepts I will be explaining in detail in the next video, where I will be explaining where I will be showing an example of these commands and creating the JVM, how the actual server reacts when the JVM is getting created. All those things we will see, so that you will understand what goes below the hood, beneath the hood. When it comes to big data, how PySpark helps. So first and foremost, it helps in creating two ways to query the data. So first way is to use PySpark's own select method. So there is a method called select which can query the data, and it has a very extensive list of SQL related functions. I will explain this also in the next video. And it has built-in SQL methods also that we will see. We can connect to the data using various read methods. We can use JDBC connectors to read to connect to the databases. We will look at that also. One of the part of the next video we will look at that also. We can do a lot of transformations using the SQL functions that is available to PySpark environment. It may not be same as the SQL functions that is available for Postgres database or MySQL database. It will be some functions will be totally different. So the SQL that you see in PySpark is different from the SQL implementation you see in Postgres. So both are not same. So keep that in mind when you are working with the PySpark. And there is a concept called as partitioning and compression when it comes to PySpark files. These are all advanced topics. It is better I explain it using examples. Stay tuned for that in the next video. So coming to the steps, we have to get the data, we have to ingest it, then we can do the ETL activity like extracting the data, transforming the data, and doing the data backup. And then there is something called as cluster management that we can do after we master the PySpark environment. But as of now, you don't need to worry about the last step. So we have to get the data and do ETL. This is the major process of PySpark environment. So stay tuned, guys. In the next video, we will delve deeper into PySpark environment using the Jupyter notebook, and we will see a lot of examples that I shared in this, that I told about in this video. If you like my content of this video, do share it and leave a like or leave a comment in the comment section. Do subscribe to my channel so that you will get the updates whenever I upload any videos. After I explain the PySpark examples in the next video, I'll be going into one of the major game changers in the data world, that is DBT, Data Build Tool. I'll be using DBT Core, the Python library, to explain about this application in the future video. So stay tuned for that. Coming back to this video, so if you have any questions, as I told, you can leave it in the comments, and do subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon. Stay tuned for the next video. See you then. Have a nice time.